This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There he is. Liquor split, baby. Remember, flat fee, no hidden charges. That is Miami's liquor store, so make sure you order it there. All right, Anthony, make sure you follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chang. You met with the players yesterday. I will say this, and I was talking about it before you came on. Lowry saying that it was a wasted year bothered me. When you come in out of shape and you didn't take it serious, and, you know, maybe on other squads, people won't talk about it, but on a team where you're required to be in shape, unless you're Kyle Lowry, I don't mind Jimmy Butler saying it was a wasted year because he left it all on the court. I can't say the same for Kyle Lowry. Really disappointed with the way he handled things this year, gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously his postseason wasn't great. It was definitely not what many expected when he signed with the Heat, or anybody expected when he signed with the Heat. I think in the regular season he was good. He missed a lot of time because of personal reasons, obviously out of his control, like we've talked about, Big O. But he was good in the regular season. He made a difference. He helped Jimmy and Bam kind of unlock different parts of their games. But look, the hamstring injury just derailed him and really the team. I know they won without him a lot, but we knew that they were going to need a healthy Kyle Lowry deep in the playoffs to really win. And they just didn't have that. He just wasn't himself. And, you know, some, again, will point to his conditioning. Some will point to the injury. He missed a lot of time on and off throughout the regular season, which probably, you know, messed with his conditioning as well, kind of getting back, going in and out of, you know, the lineup and, you know, dealing with personal stuff that I'm sure that didn't help. But
eat a salad, bro. Eat a salad when you're gone. Okay. All right, dude.
Sure.
He was in the kind of shit. He. You can't look like me and play point guard, bro. I'm sorry. You just can't. You cannot. It's just not. Did anybody ask him about his conditioning yesterday? And did he respond to it?
A few guys didn't speak. Most of the team didn't speak yesterday. It's voluntary, and he was one of them. We only got 6 players yesterday. It's a voluntary thing. Kyle did speak after the loss on Sunday, which he said he wasn't asked specifically about the conditioning, but he was saying that, you know, entering a full off season, kind of knowing what to expect within the Heat program should help him, you know, get off to a faster start next season now that he knows, you know, what being a Heat player is like.
Let's hope so. All right. So, again, you know, we were just talking a little crypto, and I said, well, let's get to cryptic, which is always the Miami Heat, and you guys trying to figure out, and we're trying to figure out what the hell they're thinking and doing. So there's a lot of issues for this offseason. First of all, Tyler Herro, how is that going to be approached? Because he's a 6th man, not a max player. And so how do you handle that situation?
Yeah. Look, Tyler spoke yesterday. He says he wants to be a starter. We knew that. He's good enough to be a starter. The problem is, and I'll answer your question now, the problem is, how does his game complement Jimmy and Bam and Kyle's, right? If he's in a starting lineup with those 3, Tyler needs the ball in his hands to be at his best. We've seen that. He's at his best when he's running that second unit. He has the ball in his hands. He can create for himself and others. In a starting lineup with Bam, Jimmy, and Kyle, it's obvious he's not going to be in that same role. So that's my biggest question. Can he play off ball? Can he be as effective off ball? There's no doubt he's good enough to be a starter. It's just how does he fit in that group? So that's number 1. Number 2, I'm sure the Heat will make it a priority to sign him to an extension. I'm sure of it. The problem is it going to be a max extension? History indicates it's probably not going to be a max. Again, like you said, he hasn't been a starter. This postseason wasn't great for him. You know, there's still obviously a lot of room for him to improve. He's a very good scorer. Jaylen Brown got a little under the max a few years ago. Mikal Bridges, who's not the offensive player Tyler Herro is, but he was an all-defensive player, one of the top candidates for Defensive Player of the Year. I think it was 4 years, $90 million last year as an extension with the Suns. I think Tyler will get around that money. 4 years, maybe a little over $100 million he'll get offered. You know, will Tyler accept that? We'll see. You know, I'm sure he's going to seek the max contract. That's obvious, right? The Heat will have until mid-October to figure that out. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Probably won't even happen in July. Usually the extension teams wait until last possible minute. They're not competing against anybody, right? There's no other team trying to get Tyler. They're the only team that can offer an extension. They have until October. So we're going to see how this plays out over the next few months.
Should be very interesting to see how they handle the Tyler Herro situation. Now, as for Bam Adebayo, here's the problem I have with all this Bam stuff that we talk about. We could talk about what we've talked about for the last couple of years, that Bam, maybe he'll take the next step here, next step there. The Heat can also tell us, hey, no, we play Bam this way, and this is how we play them, this and that. But you paid him max, and you play him like a role player. You don't play him like Alonzo Mourning. You don't play him like Shaquille O'Neal. You don't play him like, Chris Bosh. You don't run offense through him. You don't dictate offense through him. He's just simply a facilitator at times, is what he is. So how is anybody in the fan base or the media supposed to believe anyone in the Heat organization that Bam Adebayo is a franchise player when they don't play him that way? They don't allow him to dictate the role of the team. Jimmy Butler does. That's what franchise players do. That's what LeBron did. That's what Tim Hardaway did. That's what Alonzo Mourning did. I mean, I've watched it over and over again for many, many years. If you are the franchise player, well, then things are dictated through you.
Right.
This guy's a role player is what he is, a really expensive role player. So it's either shit or get off the pot. Is he really going to be a franchise player? Are you really going to make him a franchise player? But please stop telling me he's a franchise player when you're telling me he's not, because this is how you play him. Dribble handoffs, picks, this, that, some rebounds, some defense, but you don't count on him, dude. It's almost like garbage baskets or whatever he can get off of everybody else, which is not what we're used to when it comes to a franchise player. So please answer this enigma for me.
We're going to disagree on this at the end of time, Big O.
Of course.
We've had this conversation many weeks, you and I. Look, does Bam need to improve offensively? Sure, he definitely does. That's obvious, right? He has a lot of room to grow. I don't think he's a role player at all. I think he's the best defensive player on the team. I think he anchors the defense. I know he doesn't block shots. It's not the traditional way of playing defense, but I think he's the best defensive player on the team. I think you can argue in the regular season, he was the best defensive player in the NBA. And there's two sides to the court. So if you're elite defensively, that's just as, a lot of times it's just as important on the offense.
How can you be elite defensively when you can't defend people your own size?
I think he can. He guarded. Look, against Embiid, how did he
uses his ass?
When he stuck to Embiid the last few games of the series and didn't switch, and they kind of said you're going to fight through screens and stay on Embiid. Embiid wasn't 100%, but he made Embiid work, and Embiid did not have great games. I mean, you look at his numbers from those two games; he was inefficient. And Embiid is arguably the toughest cover at that position in the league.
I know, but it's a broken face and a fractured thumb. I mean,
okay,
he still did pretty damn good with that.
Yeah, he shot. I think he shot under 50%, which for Embiid is bad, right below his standards. And he didn't really have a great, high scoring performance against Bam. I just think, yes, he needs to improve offensively. Is he a role player? I think no. But
my question is, Anthony, how does he improve offensively?
Yeah.
When they don't play him that way? Don't tell me that he needs to improve when you don't play him that way. So if you don't play him that way and he doesn't have the disposition of saying, give me the ball, because usually those guys will say, give me the ball, and complain about, well, they're not running the offense through me. Well, they're not using me. I was ready. They didn't use. I've covered these kind of teams over the years. I've covered the player that wants to be the player, and you're not giving him the chance. Bam doesn't complain about not being used, and they don't use him that way. So how am I supposed to believe that he can be that guy when you're not even trying to groom him to be that guy?
Right. Well, he averaged close to 20 points a game in the regular season.
Yeah, it's the most.
And Chris Bosh was. I'm not saying he's as good at offense as Chris Bosh. That's not what I'm saying. But there were games in the playoffs where Chris Bosh scored 0 points.
No, but
there were games he scored 4 points.
But he was the third wheel, and he understood it, and he was playing a different role. But what I'm saying is, when Chris Bosh was in Toronto, everything ran through him. Sure. You know what I'm saying? And so while he was the guy, when he came here, he had to assume a different kind of role. But you knew he had, what's that called?
No,
not the talent. He had the attitude of being an alpha, because he was an alpha in Toronto. I haven't seen alpha from this guy.
No,
it's like watching Barkov and Huberdeau. There's no alpha in them.
Right.
I need to take over.
I think the assertiveness is definitely a fair criticism. Look, does he need to be more consistently assertive? Yes, there's no doubt. I mean, we saw it in Game 7, right? He took the shots that were available to him. He played well in Game 7.
Yeah.
He played well.
Two out of the 7, he did.
Two out of the 7, he played well, and he needs to have that consistently. And I think even he spoke about it. We asked him kind of what was your mentality entering Game 7. He said, I want to be more assertive. I think for him, again, look, I know he's 4 years into his career.
Yeah.
Entering the NBA, he was seen as a defensive player, never going to be a great offensive player. That just wasn't him. He's never been a natural scorer that you just give him the ball. Even in college, like that wasn't him. He was a guy who rebounded, played great defense, and would clean up, would score second chance points, would get, like you said, off penetration. Guys would assist him for a basket, but he didn't create his own offense. This is new for him. He's improved, I would say. I think it's obvious he's improved offensively since he came into the league. Does he need to improve more? Definitely. This is not something that he's done or a role he's been used in during his career. And I think he will improve. I really do. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be a 30-point scorer that you throw him the ball in the post and you let him lead the offense. I don't think that's him.
I just want him to be an SOB, bro. Yeah. I just want him to have a nasty streak in him that he feels compelled that he has to help Jimmy. That's what I want. I want a guy that's desperate, because they've got to acquire or develop Jimmy's Batman or Robin. And what I mean by that is they got to find somebody that either is slightly better than Jimmy or just slightly under Jimmy, but it has to be a guy that is ready to rock with him every single night and attack, because it just can't be him alone. And then, all right, well, Tyler tonight, okay, Bam next night, okay, Kyle and Caleb help out, and then here's Strus and Duncan, and it just becomes a musical chairs of, okay, who's stepping up tonight? And Jimmy can't have that. You got to have that guy. That's what was missing in these playoffs.
Yeah,
missing that other guy.
I think the Heat's hope was that Tyler would be that guy offensively for them. And he didn't have a great postseason. Then he got hurt, and who knows what would happen if Tyler was healthy in that Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, they still finished one shot away, and I know Tyler played in Game 7, but he basically missed that game too. He missed the last 4 games of the series, and he was, you could argue, their best offensive player in the regular season, even better than Jimmy most nights. I mean, he's the most natural scorer on the team. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Tyler is the most natural scorer on the team, and the Heat really missed him offensively against the Celtics.
Yeah, it's rough. All right, so what's your gut tell you? Are they going to make a move for another player? Are they going to package players? Because all right, so you look around. For some crazy ass reason, Bradley Beal wants to stay in Washington. Okay, so looks like that's not going to happen, which again, I still don't understand that. Embiid, I mean, let's not be ridiculous. The Sixers are not gonna trade Embiid,
and especially not to the Heat.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got Lillard, but he's 31. He's got a year left on a deal. It's really expensive, but it's only 1 year. How much are you going to trade? And you're talking about a player that's so is there another guy that's available out there? You know who I'm thinking of, by the way, and I don't know his contract situation because I just thought about it a little while ago. Jordan Schultz is starting here with us as an insider every week, and Jordan breaks NFL and NBA stories. Jordan also does the Pull Up podcast with CJ McCollum. And I was just wondering, what is McCollum's deal in with the Pelicans? Because I'm going to
You look right
ask,
now.
Jordan, but because he was traded there,
Right.
and that's the kind of guy that Jimmy needs. Actually, that's exactly the kind of guy that would be perfect for Jimmy, mature type player. New Orleans is not a place that you're going to get free agents anyways. So so I don't know what is his contract situation, because it's with Lillard. I get that one and the age, but CJ's a little younger. Were you able to pull it up?
Yeah, he has 2 years left on his deal. And CJ, again, I don't cover CJ, I don't cover the Pelicans, but just from the outside looking in, it seemed like CJ was pretty invested in New Orleans and he
Yeah.
wanted to go there and wants to, kind of make that team a winner. And they had some success late in the season if Zion comes back next year. So I don't know his appetite for leaving. I also would argue CJ is a very good player, but if you're talking about CJ or Tyler at 22 years old, I would argue that I think Tyler's probably worth keeping in that deal because he's younger. He has the potential to be a CJ type player, offensively.
See, that's the key right there, doggy. You just said it. Potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gets you fired. That brings you down. I mean, potential. Well, we've been waiting for the potential. Bam. We're waiting for the potential with Huberdeau and Barkov.
Yeah.
I mean, potential will drag your ass into the ground. CJ McCollum is a stud right now. That, like, next year, if you go into the playoffs with that guy opposite of Butler, he has his Robin all of a sudden now. You know what I'm saying? I just throw it out there because I don't know about all the other disgruntled players.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying CJ's disgruntled. I'm just saying I know that their Lillard one is a little tough.
Donovan Mitchell's the other popular one.
Embiid and what's it called? The kid from Washington, Beal just doesn't look realistic right now. So where would the Heat go is what I'm saying. So is there another name? I just kind of pulled CJ out of nowhere. Is there another name of somebody out there that could be a good Robin or even a Batman?
Yeah, I mean, Donovan Mitchell's the popular one.
Right.
Among the ones you didn't list. But again, it's going to take one of those guys saying, I don't want to be here anymore. Because none of those teams are trading those guys.
Plus, they're trying to trade Rudy Gobert now, not him.
Right. They're trying to build around Donovan Mitchell, according to reports. So I don't think, unless Donovan Mitchell says Utah, I do not want to be here. I'm not playing here anymore. Like pulls a James Harden, basically. I don't see how they're going to try to trade him. So some of this is out of the Heat's control, or all of this is out of the Heat's control at this point. Right?
Yes.
You kind of just have to wait for someone to become available, and then, if you're the Heat, your only thing you can control is to have assets on your roster that you could deal and make an attractive offer. Tyler, I think, is still an attractive asset, right? He's young.
Yeah.
We've talked about potential. 6th man of the year. He's a guy who he averaged 20 points this year. He could average 25 points in his peak, 25 plus points a game. It'd be a really good scorer for you. They have a contract that can help facilitate a deal because of the salary on it. Duncan Robinson, we can make numbers match. Omar Yurtseven is an affordable contract, a guy with potential and was impressive this year. And now they have picks to trade after unlocking those picks in the KZ Pallet trade with the Thunder this season. So the Heat are in position where they could, if someone does become available, they have the assets to make an attractive offer if they want to. So I think that's all the Heat can control at this point.
Well, Devin Jordan's looking to really take this show off the rails now. He's going to ask you, Chang, would you trade for Zion? I think he means Williamson, not Nelson. Yeah. I think he means Williamson. So what do you do? If you trade for Williamson, do you close all supermarkets and convenience stores? Is that what you do? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I personally would want nothing to do with that guy, but you go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Zion is talented. He's one of the best, considered one of the best young players in the league, even though he's always hurt and he hasn't played many games. But that's a big concern. He's not available, right? You just don't know what his body is so unique. Like, how can that hold up? It hasn't held up so far. The other thing is, if you're building around Bam,
maybe he can ask Lowry for tips. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The problem is also if you're building around Bam and Jimmy still in this situation, you're adding another guy that can't shoot threes to that core.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already unique as it is with the Heat that their two best players aren't 3-point shooters. I mean, it's kind of like that's the tough part about this offensively is you need guys around them to complement them. You basically need all shooters around those guys for this to work. So I just don't see. It's the same thing with the Giannis conversation. Giannis is so good that it probably didn't matter, but it was always like, how would Giannis fit here with Bam and Jimmy? It's like your three best players are non-shooters. So that's tough to fit.
You probably have to add an extra chef if you bring in Williamson. I'm sorry. I just keep thinking about all the other things they're going to be. I mean, listen, like guys will be going like racing for the food because once Lowry and Williamson get to it, there's nothing left. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is a good way for Jimmy and Tyler and the boys to stay skinny because those guys obviously would, kind of finish everything else off. All right. Caleb Martin. What's going to happen with Caleb Martin if Lowry doesn't eat him? I'm sorry.
I'm glad you're enjoying yourself.
What's going to happen with Caleb Martin? How are they going to keep him, not Lowry eat him? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, he's a restricted free agent, so he'd have the right to match any offer.
No poison pill crap to screw them or all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's rules now where that's not as much of an issue, but sure. I mean, a big outside offer, the Heat are going to have a line, right? They're not going to pay if someone offers Caleb $15 million a year. Like, I don't even know if the Heat can. They don't have his bird rights, so they need to fit him into some type of exception to make it work. So pretty much the most you could probably offer him because you're over the cap is a full mid level, which is like $10 million a year, which I think that's probably enough to keep him. But the Heat have to decide how they're going to be over the tax probably because of all the salaries they have on their books right now. So they have to decide how big of a tax bill do they want to pay, right? And is Caleb worth it at that point? So we'll see. Caleb wants to stay. The Heat have interest obviously in keeping him. He's a very productive player, two-way player, young guy to help develop. They don't like losing guys they develop. We've seen but right?
They could have used him a couple times here down the stretch, and they kind of kept him on the bench.
Yeah,
and there's a part of me going, I think they don't want to showcase this kid a little too much because there's somebody's going to make an offer because really, you were playing. Here's a guy who brings more on the defensive side of the ball, and you kind of needed some stops. And I'm looking at Caleb on the bench, and I'm going, well, he's one of your best perimeter defenders. Why is he on the bench? You know what I mean? And I kept thinking, because I'm so damn cynical from this business for 30 years, I'm going, these guys don't want to showcase him too much because then they lose him. And they want to, and I got to say, I kind of agree with it because, man, I don't want to lose Caleb Martin. He's one of my favorite young players that they've been able to unearth. I like that kid, man.
Yeah, he's a very intriguing young player because of what he brings on both sides. I think they went with Victor Oladipo more than Caleb in the conference finals because they didn't have Tyler and they needed another ball handler out there. Help take some of the pressure off of Jimmy and Kyle a little bit.
It's not deferring to experience because he did the same shit with Gabe when at times he should have been playing Gabe instead of Lowry, and he kept Lowry in there just like he did with Oladipo. And I almost felt like he was doing the veteran thing, that he was deferring to the experience. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going with the young guy, which at that moment, some of those young, I think sometimes what we all lose sight in, the Heat got there, of course, because of Jimmy Butler. But, dude, these young guys really helped out a lot also.
Yeah. And the good thing is for the Heat is Max and Gabe, they have options in their deal, but obviously the Heat are going to exercise those options. Minimum contracts next year.
Yeah.
So that's – and Omar Yurtseven too. We'll see what happens with Dwayne Dedmon. He's a free agent. Whether the Heat bring him back might depend on how comfortable they feel with Omar Yurtseven maybe being the backup center next season.
Tear it up in July, baby. Tear it up in July.
Yeah,
Summer
we'll see if he plays in Summer League. I think the expectation is he will play, but it's not 100% yet. But if he does, he'll be the Max Strus of this year's Summer League, where it's going to be all him. They're going to run everything through him and see how much he could do without responsibility.
There you go. They're going to do what they don't do with Bam here. Okay. Follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chiang. Catch his work there at the Miami Herald. And, of course, you can catch him twice a week here doing his thing. He'll be back on Friday with our liquor split Miami Heat report. Anthony, as always, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
Always, Big O. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Don't forget, flat fee of $2.99 there. So go to Liquor Split, download the app, iOS or Android. You will love it. Order the drinks, order the snacks. That's what it's all about, a little Liquor Split, and you will enjoy it. All right? Trust me. All kinds of stuff, man. You want a little vodka, you know, you want to get a little beer, you can enjoy it all. A little wine. A little wine is fine. A little liquor is quicker. You know, that's what it's all about, folks. So make sure you get on there and get a little tequila action going on. A little Monteban, a little Adictivo tequila, a little 1800 Cristalino, 1800 coconut. Looking at all these different tequilas that they've got there. Oh, man. They got Don Julio. If you want to enjoy a little Don Julio, they've got that. They've got pages of all kinds of tequila there at Liquor Split. So make sure you check it out. Hornitos Plata. Look at that, man. That is a ton. A little Jose Cuervo. Right. So check it out at Liquor Split and download the app. That is your Liquor Split Miami Heat report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.